Alrighty guys, welcome to another Stalker Gamma Guide. Today we're going to be going over artifact hunting along with the crafting of artifacts and everything that kind of goes with those. To start with, you will want an anomaly map. This is a map that will show you anomalous zones on different map areas. You can just find these on enemies, or sometimes you'll get them for quest rewards, stuff like that, or in stashes and loot. So as you can see, I do have a couple already. You don't actually need to have each separate one on you at all times. Once you have looked at a map, if you have any of the maps, it will show up in your inventory, and when you go to open it, you'll see all the maps that you've collected so far. If you ever need to know where some of these anomalies are and you don't have the maps yet, you can just go ahead and review back over this video in the beginning, and as you can see, I do have a good bit of the maps, so you can see where the anomaly zones are. When you go into these zones, you're more likely to find artifacts, but along with that, they are of high danger and usually have either radiation, more anomalies, and all kinds of stuff that can damage you, along with there being enemies and stuff like that inside certain zones as well. So, aside from that, you can find artifacts in random locations. If you just run around with your detector, sometimes you just find them laying in the ground or in random places as well. So just keep that in mind, that especially after emissions and stuff like that, there will be a refresh of the anomalies, so you can go back to them and collect more artifacts. Along with that, you can find more laying on the ground as you walk around. So just keep your eye out, especially at nighttime. A lot of them will glow or have different variations of colors than the nighttime is. You won't see this as easily if you're wearing night vision, because night vision for some reason doesn't see anomalies or odd light sources aside from flashlights very well. So just keep that in mind. So the first place we're going to be going, which you don't really actually get a map for, will be Cordon, just north of the Rookie Village. So once you arrive here above the Rookie Village at the anomalous zone known as the Trash Compactor anomaly, you will want to make sure to take some anti-radiation meds and get your detector out. I always suggest having a bear detector. If you don't, you can just use an ore detector or the echo detector, just the basic one. But just make sure you do have some anti-radiation meds so you don't have to heal yourself so heavily, or have some decent armor on. So when you hop in here, you will pretty much just walk around until you start seeing some ping up on your bear detector. This will be how it goes for every single anomaly you run into. So as you can see, I hopped around, and this was definitely a non-detector needed artifact, because as you can see, it's very visible without this. So a lot of artifacts will not be visible until after you've gotten close enough to them and have a detector with you. So just keep that in mind. On to the next one. The next anomalous zone that we went to was the Witch's Jelly. This is inside of Garbage on the bottom right corner. As you come into it from Cordon, you should be able to see it behind all the wreckage and all the green chemical spots. So just keep in mind when you're looking through these that you'll want to make sure you have something pop that's for chemical resistance or something of that kind to help with you not taking damage as quickly as I am in this section. As you can see, I am trying to see where the artifact is, if it's visible already. I did peek forward and see it kind of sitting there, so just keep in mind sometimes you will see the artifacts. I stopped and healed myself and then came back and just kind of hopped through, grabbed the artifact, and then went on through again. So from here, I did notice that there was another artifact, so I went around the other way as I thought that would be a little faster. Sometimes you need to make sure that you are going around these artifacts or anomalous zones so you can make sure you take the least amount of damage based off of what equipment you are, what resources you have. I do have a lot of heals and stuff, so I usually, at this point in my gameplay or playthrough, I have no worries of my damage going down, so I've kind of went with the wind with it for making this guide for y'all. So as you can see, I did get a second artifact out of this. It was another visible one because it didn't just spawn as I grabbed it. It was already sitting there. So, on to the next anomalous zone. So the next anomalous zone will be the Smasher anomaly. This is right across the way from the Witch's Jelly. It's on the left side of Garbage. It's the big parking area that is to the left when you come in, if you're heading north. So just keep that in mind. As you can see, I have spotted an anomaly. Normally, I will say, when it comes to these ones, that little bouncing shiny thing is normally the actual artifact. So just keep that in mind. That's why you see it continually moving as I'm looking at it. It's kind of bouncing around the actual anomaly. So you kind of have to get close enough for it to actually drop out, or just wait for it to drop out. So, I did kind of go through this area and see if I could find another artifact. As you can see, another one did pop up, and I'm pretty sure, as I remember, this one was visible. It was just behind some anomalous sections. If you aren't playing in Iron Man mode, it's a good spot to save, just in case you get caught by one of these anomalies, so you don't just completely get destroyed. I will say I shot that because normally you can get them to roll a little bit and they'll roll out of the anomaly or whatever they're in. So I did take a little damage getting that one because I couldn't exactly maneuver around those fully, or I didn't take the time to. So just remember that you can take more time than that. You can take as much time as you want trying to navigate them or get them to move, as long as you get the artifact. So with that, let's move on to the next anomalous zone. So once again inside of garbage, we are going to be at the push and pull anomaly. This one's right up this hill to the west of the flea market. So just keep that in mind. It's a little bit south of the northern checkpoint to Rostock. So if you come around here, you just want to avoid all of the push and pull anomalies to make sure that you don't get completely obliterated. And just kind of wait for your artifact detector to beep. As you can see here, it took me a minute to get over to one, but there was one found. You just want to kind of slowly avoid any of the anomalous spots that are visible and that you can see easily. This is a little harder inside the flame ones. You might have to use bolts to kind of push them around. And as you can see, it was kind of a not fully visible artifact, so it took me a second to find it. And I got a chain. So from here, you'll always want to check if there's at least a second one. As far as I remember, I did end up popping a second one off of this anomaly. Yep, there it is. So we'll go see what I got there. And like I said, you always want to make sure to check for 2. Sometimes you'll even get 3, depending on how big the anomalous zone is. Sometimes you'll get more than that. So just keep in mind that you can get a lot. As you can see, that one just kind of materialized. And that's what it takes. You have to get close enough for them to materialize. And then at that point, you can collect the artifact. Not all are under this case, but some of the, usually the ones that have good attributes, this does apply to. So from there, I guess we'll move on to the next anomaly. So down the hill and farther to the west of the push and pull anomaly inside of garbage is the Synapse anomaly. It's located right around here. Like you can see, it's a little bit to the left of the push and pull anomaly, right above, like northwest to the train station. So from here, we'll pull out our detector. As you can see, there's literally one sitting right here, and I'm pretty sure that's the only one that was available for this anomalous zone this time. Sometimes they'll spawn all the way to the top, sometimes they spawn all the way at the bottom, but this time I got lucky and it spawned at the bottom, so I didn't have to go so far. So I guess we'll move on to the next one from here. The next anomaly you'll normally be running into is called Lignite weeds, or Lignite weeds. This is south of the map inside of the army warehouses to the west of the Freedom Base, and pretty much right as up the hill as you come out of the entrance to the army warehouses area from Rostock. So just keep an eye out. It is right as you come in. So keep that in mind. That and the massacre one. So we'll be going through each of these next, and then I'll show you what kind of stuff I normally get from these. Just remember, it is inside of army warehouses. So I usually come from the top for this one. So I'll go up the hill, go around it, then I'll come around it. But honestly, every time I've come to try and get an artifact from here, it's been a real pain. but I have been getting some averagely decent artifacts from it. As you see, it kind of just appeared out of nowhere, out of thin air, and it gave me an artifact. I did run around just to make sure there wasn't another one that was spawning inside of this artifact location, but then I moved on to the masker from there. So the next one will be the masker. This is a little bit to the east of Lignite Weeds and directly to the west of the army warehouse or the freedom base kind of place. So from here I did kind of maneuver around it slowly, so I kind of sped up the video. I kind of threw out some bolts, moved around, saw that the artifact was obviously directly in front of the bulldozer-ish, so I tried to check a couple places, and then at some point I ended up finally realizing that I am completely surrounded by these things, so you kind of have to get in through the back. So what you pretty much have to do with this anomaly, as long as the spawns are the same for all the anomalous zones for each person saved, is you can just go through these bushes, go around the back, and you can jump into the back of this truck part. So you kind of just jump into this truck. I've done this multiple times. This is usually a path I take. I'll go through those bushes, jump into the back of the truck, and usually the artifact spawns directly in front of me. I will say I had some issues with some of them spawning, because sometimes they will be directly inside of an anomalous zone. So just keep that in mind when you're searching for them. So what I did with this one was that I actually reloaded my save. As you can see here, it does show it's frozen. That's because this was when I was loading my save. And when I went to load the quick save of me being in there, it actually spawned directly to the right of me. So I was able to immediately grab it. As you can see, I just picked it up real quick, and it was that simple. Just remember, sometimes you will have to reload your game to have them spawn. The next one we're going to be on is the Corpse Disposer. This is to the north of the army warehouses. As you can see, it's on the map for your anomalies. Each time I've gone here, it has spawned next to this pipe that's on the right of my screen at this time. Make sure to take any chemical resistant stuff, just like with the witch's jelly, before you go running in. As I said, it is up here on the right. It gave me a huge problem this first time I went and got an artifact, because it spawned inside of the pipe. As you can see, the electric is coming off of it. I just couldn't tell where it was at first because it was under the pipe. So just keep that in mind when you go to search here. It can spawn in other parts of this anomalous zone, but I did not find any, so I will be cutting this part of the video. So we'll go on to the next anomalous zone. Just keep in mind to check these areas, because sometimes you will get some over here. I just did not. So the next one we're going to go over is the Newton anomaly. This is north of the barrier that leads to the radar and west of that. It is also east of the entrance of the Red Forest. As you can see, this right side has a bunch of anomalies in it, so you want to kind of just go through the bushes, go through the middle, and it'll normally spawn right in this little cove here. Both times I've had it spawn in the same spot, but one time it was in non-visible to the naked eye anomaly or artifact, and the next time it was just sitting on the ground. So just keep in mind that either one can pop up. From here, we'll move on to our final anomaly that we're going to cover inside of this guide. If you want any more, just let me know and I'll go over them. So, our last anomaly that we're going to be going over is shock therapy. At least anomalous zone that I count as anomalous zone. So, from here, you'll pretty much want to go to the north of the map. It's on the left or west of the Red Forest entrance. It's going to be northeast of that little mercenary camp that leads into the Dark Village or Dark City. As you can see, I did get one artifact really super low. I will say that maybe because it rolled down the hill, because it was a round artifact, because that does happen. So just keep in mind they'll spawn up in this little area behind these electrical walls. If you go around the right side, which I end up doing, you can kind of jump over that rock there, and sometimes it will be right there, so it might spawn and roll down within a range of you to pick it up, which is what happens for me here. As you'll see, once I get close enough, it will just spawn and roll down the hill, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to wait till it rolls out of the anomalous parts, and I'll just pick it up. So that one was that simple. Sometimes if it spawns one that's not rolling, it might be a little more of a pain. But for me, that one was easy. So from here, we'll check out an anomalous area, as I count it, not an anomalous zone, and this will be the last one I go over for this video. So, I don't just specifically count this as an anomalous zone, I count it as an anomalous area. It's called Hell's Walls. Normally it's just this little area over here that I'm aiming at, but apparently you can get artifacts throughout this whole little village. Like pretty much through the whole Bloodsucker village, there's multiple anomalous zones that can pop up anomalies, artifacts, all kinds of stuff. So just be wary while you're moving through this area, along with the fact that there's bloodsuckers at night, more often than in daytime, but usually there's some during the daytime. You'll almost always have an artifact in this house over here, along with a couple other houses that are full of anomalous stuff. Just keep in mind to keep you on your toes, because as you'll see in a second here, bloodsuckers are definitely in the village. So after you dispatch your bloodsuckers and such, you can go back to searching for your artifacts. Usually you'll be inside this house. You'll probably get more than likely to be getting burned up in the process. But sometimes that's the cost of artifacts. So you can easily just hop in, grab it real quick, and leave. It is a little hard to avoid the fire anomalies here, but it's what you gotta do for artifacts. From here, we'll move on to the section of the video where I'll go over crafting and combining and empowering your artifacts. Alrighty guys, so from here we're going to be talking about how to actually use all the artifacts you have collected to craft and make new artifacts. To do this, you will need an artifact smelter, which you can get from a trader once you level up enough, and at the point where you're looking for artifacts and have enough to start using it, you should be able to afford one and have traders leveled up enough to buy it. So today we're going to be going and taking some stone bloods and some stone flowers, which are two types of regular artifacts that do need lead line containers to carry them around without irradiating, and two bracelets. We're going to do this because I have enough of them to do this, and it's pretty simple to do. So the first thing we'll want to do is, normally if you have an artifact smelter and it's not fully charged by these white dots, you'll take it and hover it over any artifacts you don't need or don't foresee yourself using to craft anything, and you'll use them for that. So from here, seeing as I need stone flowers and stone bloods, we're going to see if I can craft more. I only have 2 of each or so I'd like to craft some so I can actually use them. Now you can either craft them through the regular artifacts or craft them inside the container. I prefer using a container if I can. So to make some stone bloods, I do need sourpuss and signets. So let's craft some of those. And then I also need a stone flower. So seeing as I do have the stone flowers and stone bloods already in containers now, I can just craft them this way, but then we won't be able to go over how to empower them. So I personally see it as efficient either way, depending on if you already have a bunch of, like I have a couple bracelets already, so I'm actually gonna empower the parts that I'm going to use to craft them, and then empower the bracelets afterwards. So seeing as I have used up some juice on this artifact smelter, we will hover it over a artifacts not in use, and then we'll go to empower. We'll hover over the stone bloods, and we'll just continually power up the one that I have available until it's around 98%. Seeing as I can't upgrade anymore, we'll leave it like that. We'll go back. I'm gonna reopen my inventory and put it in a container so it doesn't irradiate me while I'm trying to upgrade other ones. So from here, we'll take our stone flowers out and we'll do the same thing with those. I do need, again, to empower this, so let's just use some other lower tier artifacts to do that. And then we will get that stone flower up. So from here, I have a somewhat up stone flower and a somewhat up stone blood. So from here, I actually pretty sure I need to power this up a little bit more, so we'll use this chain and this other spike. And then from here, I will be able to craft my bracelet. Just keep in mind, what is used to craft the next tier up, it will use the percentages from those artifacts used to craft it, and we'll use the mean of those artifacts. So like if it's, I have, let's just go with this way. Let's go to my inventory, open this and open this. As you can see, this one's about 50% and this one's about 99%. So when I go to craft these, it should create about a 75% bracelet. And seeing as I have a couple other bracelets, I can empower it from there. So let's open this up and then we'll craft the bracelet. Then we'll take them out of their boxes after empowering this a little bit more. Take all the bracelets out. And then we're going to use this to empower the bracelet. So now it's at 93. And now it's maxed out at 98%. I shouldn't be able to get any higher than that. So now I have a 99% bracelet that gives me 25% chemical resistance and 27% psychic resistance. As long as I put it on inside a case inside my belt, I'll be able to use those effects. So that's generally how that process works. Like I said, you'll want to craft your lower tier parts and then you can upgrade them into the other parts. Just remember, there's not like a specific most efficient way as far as I can see. It's just that depending on what artifacts you have available and what you want to make, you can either just empower the one that you're trying to craft into, or you can use parts to make other ones that you need to craft those. As you can see, first off, I made some stone bloods and such. Then from those stone bloods, I made another artifact. So just keep in mind that you'll want to base what you keep, what you empower, and stuff like that off of what you're trying to make from them. So that's everything pretty much in relation to this. Is the only, actually, yeah, that's everything. So I showed you how to empower the artifacts. I showed you what you do to craft them. And like I said, it's always better to craft them into a container, because I don't know if it actually uses a container in your inventory. It may. I don't think it does. I can't confirm it or not because I have so many containers, it doesn't even matter. Just keep in mind that it will cost you resources because you'll have to use the artifact smelter on other artifacts to power it up and stuff like that. So you will be having uses get used up by that. And you'll have artifacts getting used up by that because that's the only way to empower them is with other artifacts. If you have any questions about artifact crafting or just the general hunting of artifacts, just drop a comment inside the video and I'll be glad to respond. If you enjoyed the video and found it knowledgeable and giving you more ideas of how to process and get artifacts, then please drop a like and subscribe and check out my other videos related to Stalker Gamma. But as always, good luck in the zone, guys, and thank you for your time.